Now go to the second part of our discussion on adaptive leadership, where we want to emphasize the importance of commonality of purpose for the whole team that the leader is leading. How working together with everyone as a leader will help in adaptation of the organization to the challenges that are with us. Based on that definition that we talked about earlier, you may be asking yourself, how does it differ from other methods of leadership? But what we are really talking about is adaptive leadership is a leadership that is scanning the horizon to see the changes, prepare for them, and adapt to them. An adaptive challenge allows problems to be identified more, and we have just discussed that, and then it actually involves the whole organization, which you have kept emphasizing, in search of possible solution to the changes that are coming. Adaptive leadership can help when there are no easy solutions to an issue. And then you want to involve everyone. I called having a short brainstorming session. It's a very critical skill, that ability to bring people together. You know, adaptive leaders are permanent learners. I know lawyers call themselves learned friends because they only talk about the law and they don't make the law. The laws are being made by Parliament on a continuous basis. So if you agree to become a lawyer, you are a learning person for life because there are new things continuously. Similarly, adaptive leaders are people who have chosen to be students for life. They learn to control each context as the contexts are changing through experimentation. They cultivate diversity of viewpoints. They don't feel like this is my idea, no other idea works. They cultivate a diversity of viewpoints in order to generate as many options as possible. I think it's last year I was doing a training workshop for Zambians in the Kariba Dam, which is the biggest, I think one of the biggest dams in Africa. And we were in a hotel nearby, and I don't know what I had be kept saying during the workshop. On our way back to Lusaka, the guy was with me. He said, "You know, I have discovered something, a new thing I didn't know." And I said, "What is it? What is it you had?" You kept repeating the importance of creating alternatives. And I said, yes, it's one of the most important issues in leadership, creating alternatives. The first thing to come to your mind, if you act on it, you might act on, number one, a wrong thing. Number two, you may be acting for something that is not as good, and you might be acting on it at the wrong time. Creating alternatives means even when you are clear, there's the direction to go, hold. Think about possibilities, other possibilities. Once you have created alternatives, now evaluate your alternatives. And once you get the best alternative, go. But that alternative may actually be the first one. So you can say, surely we wasted all this time. We are still on the first alternative. But by creating alternatives, it gives you better reasons why you are on this particular alternative, rather than simply picking it because it was the first one to come to your mind. So adaptive leaders are leaders who do not act without alternatives. In many meetings which I've led, and you have had, I was a leader in the university, I was a CU leader at Alliance earlier in high school. I always insist that the first idea must be packed, even if it came from somebody very respected. Why don't we hear other ideas? Because in creating ideas, it will help you to come with the best alternative for adapting or dealing with a situation that has arisen. The other thing I need to mention is if you're an adaptive leader, you must understand the word empathy. You know, sympathy is when you are suffering. That is simply having sympathy for someone. Empathy is different. Empathy is putting yourself in the shoes of the person and feeling his pain, therefore you are likely to act better. So in dealing with adaptive leadership, it means you have to create a situation, put yourself there, and see what it would mean before you act on it. And I've also emphasized the importance of rewarding whoever comes up with an idea in whatever way they are doing. And thirdly, the importance of giving people autonomy and independence. People must be given ideas. One of the things we say is decisions must be made at the lowest level of competence. That's a very critical principle in adaptive leadership. Don't make decisions on a matter somebody's junior is better placed. There are places, there are ideas. For example, you do not go to a certain toilet. You use a different toilet. Why would you as a leader want to make a decision on that toilet and you don't even use it? So it's important that all decisions are made at the lowest level of competence. Because if that person is competent, surely, unless you are idle, why do you want to make that kind of a decision? It is this empowerment at various levels. Do not allow you. It's not that you are not a dictator. You are not a CEO who has been consulted on every item. There must be clear authority, and whoever has been given that authority must also be ready for internal audit. When something goes wrong with it, it will not be the CEO held accountable. It will be that particular person who made the decision, because they have been given authority, but also accountability. And if you create that kind of an atmosphere, you deal with every challenging thing that comes and create solutions for it. You know, adaptive leadership needs teams, and I've emphasized that. And what we are saying, adaptive leadership is based on a specific set of 4 characteristics, which I will deal with. These problems differ significantly from technical problems. Many of the problems that will come are not necessarily technical. They will be soft skill kind of issues. For example, if you have an ice cream store chain and you can see it's failing because ice cream is melting, that is not a difficult thing to handle. You just go for a better freezer. Problem solved. But adaptive challenges we are talking about are not clear on what the solution is. And that's why you need to involve as many people as possible. You know, because really, the adaptive problems we are dealing with here are about the unknown. Because if they were known, we should have suggested a solution before the problem. Adaptive leadership is about facing uncertainty. How do you deal with the things that you are not prepared for? You know, the ice cream CEO we have just talked about can consider the rise of other alternatives, like whatever you can call them. And if you have created alternatives, therefore your ice cream is no longer popular. This is an adaptive problem. It doesn't have a quick answer. No one person can determine whether the stores will survive with changes in that. Because you see, here, it is people that are changing their dietary trends. And you don't know, they never sat in a place to have a vote. But slowly, there's a change on what people want to take. Now, it's not a quick thing you can, like, code, the thing is melting. Here you have to involve more people to find out what kind of solution there could be. And here, the adaptive leadership will be very needed. So these are the 4 dimensions that you need if you are going to work, and all of them require teamwork, require commonality of purpose. And that's why I emphasize right from introduction, the most important requirements of a leader is ability to sell the vision, the mission, and core values, and get a buy-in. How do you know people have a buy-in? They no longer call it your vision. They call it our vision. That's in adaptive leadership, just like our speaker talked about, you must, and I've emphasized it, you must have the characteristic of navigating the environment, the church environment. What's happening in the church industry, if you can call it that, in the youth ministry, in the petroleum industry. What is changing in the environment. Navigating it is a critical requirement. And again, one person can't do it. We need to do it as a team. The number 2, self-correction and reflection. Once you have done navigation, it will be important as you see the environment changing, see what we do needs to be corrected. How do we reflect on what we are currently doing, how we are doing it, and the changing environment? Again, you can't do it alone. You need to involve everyone. Thirdly, you must create a win-win solutions. It must be clear that this will be the solution that will benefit everyone. You know, when you were asking earlier, how can you sell your vision? One of the most important people want to hear is, if we carry this vision, what in it is in it for me? A leader must be able to say, you are not serving my purpose, you are serving our purpose. Nobody wants to be involved in something just to stroke your pride. They want to see this is going to benefit all of us. And that will be a very important thing. So everybody must see how they win out of the change that you want to bring because of the new environment. And then after that, you now lead with empathy. What did we say empathy is? Ability to place yourself in their shoes so that you are not forcing people to do things that hurt them. You understand their pain and you try to do things in the way that does not hurt many people. Those are the 4 dimensions of an adaptive leader. He is all the time navigating for the environment to see what is changing. He is all the time recalibrating in self-correction and reflection. He is creating an understanding for everybody how they are going to benefit out of the changes that are coming in. And he is somebody who empathizes with the whole team. People know, the leader knows me. The leader is thinking about me. The leader will never do something that will hurt me because he is empathetic. And that will be very important. What do we mean by motivating environment? Adaptive leaders should embrace, very, very important, should embrace and encourage organizers to look for new approaches. And I think I've talked about that. It's about the context, rules and procedures that may need to be written. You must remind yourself that rules are not written in blood. They are not impossible to change. However, we are not suggesting laissez-faire. Anybody can do whatever. It means that although there are rules, you are willing to change them for a good reason. So everybody knows these are the rules, but we can change them. But the only thing is, you are formal about it. You don't change the rules until they are changed. Until it's agreed we are changing, you don't start. Like, for example, something has changed that has made it, now we must work on Saturdays. As long as the rules say we work 5 days, don't start requiring people to work on Saturday until the rules changes. Because maybe in the change of rules, we work for less number of hours per day. So that by the end of the week, we have not necessarily done more hours. So let me be clear. We are not suggesting in adaptive leadership there are no rules. We are saying the rules are flexible, you can change them. But we are also insisting until they are formally changed, you must continue acting in the old way, although you know it needs to be changed. Don't let everyone start deciding on rules. We need to come together to agree on rules. And each change must be documented so that you learn something. So if you can see, we used to do like this, now we are doing like this. You must record why the change. That's how you get lessons out of each solution. Employees are encouraged, and staff are encouraged, or followers are encouraged to go beyond their traditional ways of thinking and find creative solutions to all the new challenges that are coming. So therefore, the role of the adaptive leader should therefore to be the coordinator, the facilitator of everybody who is getting involved. And they are looking for who is most suited to deal with what kind of decision. That's the first dimension. Second dimension, leading with empathy. Adaptive leaders create group attitude instead of an atmosphere of divide and conquer. They know divide and rule is a manipulative leader's way. A leader with empathy does not manipulate people. He creates a group attitude. This is what we are doing. Yeah. So and so is better than this. Then yeah. Let's do it this way. A group decision. An adaptive leader will understand alternative perspective and be able to share them with others by looking at the organization through the eyes of others. In Romans chapter 12, we are saying, you do things that are faith in the eyes of everyone. That means you must stop looking at things through your eyes. Start getting the viewpoint. I know this looks good to me. Does it look good to my wife? Does it look good to so and so? Does it look good to the person? Since the wearer of the shoe knows where it hurts. So an adaptive leader understands there are different perspectives. His is not the only one. So he looks for them. These adaptive leaders have the ability to respond with empathy, allowing the influence of co-workers, competitors, and stakeholders to be involved. Who is a stakeholder? A stakeholder is anyone who is affected by the decisions you make, and anybody whose decision can affect you. That's a stakeholder. Please involve them. In addition, adaptive leaders will reward their employees with autonomy. And I think I've emphasized that. That's what you're talking about. Everybody feels involved and feels understood and feels appreciated. That's what you're talking about. That will motivate them to get involved. Then everybody must accept self-correction and reflection, we said earlier. Adaptive leaders encourage experimentation. That means that because you are allowing people to experiment, you must be ready for failure. The only wrong failure is deliberate failure. But if somebody has good intention, thought through, the leader must be able to tell him, you have failed, but we thank you for trying. Now we know one more way of not trying the thing. So you need to create a safe atmosphere for experimentation, because new changes will not have a quick answer, a clear answer. Of course, some experiments will fail, I have said it. Falling and getting back up teaches us many roads can lead to success, and that will be important. So if you are going to be an adaptive leader, you must be willing to take the risk. Adaptive leaders would do well, though, to offer their people a chance to reflect on both success and failure. Don't make people think that failure is appreciated. No, failure is tolerated, not appreciated. So it's important to don't make people deliberately try something they know will fail. Something must fail to the surprise of the person who decided. By identifying mistakes and problems properly and in a timely manner, they can be tracked down, these problems, filtered, decoded, and of course that way we now learn how to respond to organization failures and challenges. Finally, we said an adaptive leader must create win-win solutions. Use of a balanced scorecard is what I recommend. Again, we don't have enough time to deal with it. But what's a balanced scorecard? Historically, everybody in business used to say, we made money, therefore we are a success. People would be promoted on the basis of the amount of money they made. Net profit was the only score that mattered. Then somebody about 25 years ago came up with an idea and said, no, if you go only for making money, what will happen to salesmen? They are going to even bribe people to buy products. They are going to sometimes make the quality lower. When quality is discovered and somebody feels cheated, they'll run away from the company. In other words, success now is simply creating room for failure tomorrow. So somebody decided that's the wrong way of measuring. We must have different aspects of measuring. So they said 4 viewpoints, and you must be good in all of them for you to lead well. So the win-win solutions are solutions that win in every aspect. We still retain the one of financial, because the shareholders still want to know they made money, but that's only one item. You now look at, did the organization in the eyes of the customer succeed? What do the customers think long term? If you are a church, what do the pastors, what do the members of the church think? And the trouble with the church is it exists. I normally say the church is a members club that exists for non-members. The work of the church is to evangelize the area. What do the people of that region think? So you cannot be called a good pastor if all you are doing is one aspect. You need also, if you are doing evangelism, you need to be welcome to do evangelism in the area. So it will be measured. But in business, we normally call it the customer view. What do they think? And there must be clear criteria, key performance indicators as to whether you succeeded in that thing. So even if you made profit, hurrah! But what do the customers think? That one. What do the internal control think? Internal control is what we create the internal audit for. Are there controls that are failing? And although you made money, you have controls that allow somebody to steal tomorrow. So all the money that was made could easily be stolen because you don't have good controls. And then finally, in the scorecard, so there is the internal view, but the final one is the staff view. What do employees think? It is true we made a lot of profit, but employees feel exploited. They are looking for elsewhere. Even the guy who made you make money is looking for a job elsewhere. And of course, the trouble when people start leaving an organization, the ones who are not capable cannot get another alternative to go. So all your good staff will go, and you'll be left with mediocre ones. So we are saying, if you're an adaptive leader, you must create a win-win solutions. Must look at your things from various perspectives, so that you are able to see the total picture. So if you start weighting the various 4 aspects, you did well here, you did badly here, you did well. What we are after is the overall weighted average. Did you win? It makes people who just think about profit not be promoted and not end up in going places. So we are saying adaptive leaders do more than just focus on profit and revenue. They are thinking much wider. As we go towards finishing, what does an adaptive leader need? And we are now concluding. You need character. You need organizational justice. You need development and emotional intelligence. Character. I think I've emphasized it throughout this discussion today. A leader has followers. Followers are not subordinates. For anybody to follow you willingly, they must trust you. They must admire you. They must accept your vision, buy into your vision. And the key requirement for anybody to follow you to an unknown place is trust, which comes out of character. You know, whoever you are leading in your industry, they can quickly sniff out dishonest. You know the trouble with the manipulators? They think they are very clever. They are talking, they talk nicely when you are there. When you are upset, they are saying this guy should be fired. And they think nobody knows. So they just try to manipulate people. The moment people know your character cannot be trusted, you are not going places with them. And because adaptive leadership is to deal with challenges, they will not be available to handle the next challenge. Strong character does not rule out the possibility of mistakes. However, how a leader handles mistakes can win trust. And there are people, whenever there's a mistake, they blame it on the secretary. Whenever there's a mistake, they blame it on the messenger. Whenever there's a mistake, they blame it on the departmental head. Even when everybody knows the CEO is the one who failed. That will affect your character. When you fail, admit you are the failure. Ask for forgiveness. People will trust you more when you are willing to accept when you fail. Leaders with strong character who own up to missteps can steer the course of the ship back to the right direction. So that's the first thing you must know as a leader. You need it for people to trust you enough to handle the various challenges and adapt to them as they come. Number 2, there must be organizational justice. When you talk about adaptive leadership, here we are talking about like an open door policy. And I've emphasized it throughout that a messenger can come to the CEO and talk to him. Anybody can actually feel free with the top. Do you know there are headmasters who cannot take their tea in the staff room? They are too senior to take tea with everybody else. When you do that, you don't have an open door policy. Things will happen to the school. One day you just hear the school is on strike, and you could not tell. An adaptive leader uses what we call the open door policy. It's about keeping open and honest lines of communication with all the people that are within the organization. That's what we call organizational justice. Everybody feels listened to. Everybody feels treated fairly. They take genuine interest in everybody's questions, in everybody's concerns, and everybody's criticism. Isn't that what we call empathy, being empathetic? So everybody knows if I say I'm happy about something, this person will listen to me. That's what makes them be able to report something, a change happening in the environment that is going to affect your organization. Thirdly, development. Development is a characteristic of adaptive leadership. Willingness to continually explore new methods to achieve desired results. That's developmental. And that's something you need to be open. Don't say this was done that way. We don't want to change. Find out. The thing that has worked in the past, are there changes that make it not work today? Rather than continually failing with an outdated practice, the adaptive leader seeks innovation and development to move the organization forward. And we have talked about that quite a bit. Finally, we have talked for years about emotional intelligence. Rather in IQ, intelligent quotient. Now we have said we are not talking about intelligence. We are talking about emotional intelligence. And we are saying an adaptive leader must be very high on emotional intelligence. This is the most important characteristics of an adaptive leader. Some people call it EQ, emotional quotient, but we can call it EI, emotional intelligence, and it's quite similar to IQ, but not the same. Emotional intelligence is basically a combination of being both aware, being aware, self-aware, and being aware of others. Emotional intelligence is that ability to understand your emotions, so you don't act out of emotions. For example, you just feel I don't like Nathan. Who made him the leader of the thing? Once I realize that that's an emotion arising in me, I manage it. Number one, I don't even know Nathan well enough. Number two, on what basis am I disliking him? So I manage my emotion. If I don't know that, I'll soon be making decisions on the basis of a feeling, and I'll destroy my organization. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand my own emotions and manage them, and not act out of emotions. But number two is the ability to understand other people's emotions. For example, Nathan decides to become rude. You know, Mr. Ngana, you are an old man. That's just like old people to talk like that. Now, and I can see from the face, he's actually pretty annoyed. I realize he's not talking his mind. He's talking his emotions. So instead of getting annoyed, I want to cool him down to find out what the real problem is. That requires very high level of leadership. The ability to understand other people's emotions and not act against the emotion. Find out what the truth actually is. So what are we saying? That emotional intelligence is the ability to regulate one's own emotions and also regulate the way you react to other people's emotions. Leaders with strong emotional intelligence are therefore what I was been talking about earlier, empathetic, calm, and true team players. They're able to play in the team. And that's a very, very, very important thing. What are pros and cons, as I finish, of adaptive leadership? We have, and I'm only summarizing. The pro is change is inevitable. No organization is immune to change. So not to become adaptive, I said earlier, you either adapt or the organization will die. So that's the advantage of moving away from hierarchical type of leadership to come to the adaptive type of leadership, because it allows it much easier to handle the changes that come. Number two, reason or pro for it, rules are made to be broken. You need to understand that. Because why do have to break or change the rule, rather than use the word broke, change the rule. Because when you made the rules, this was the environment. Today, there's a different environment. So it should be free to change it. Because change is the only constant. Many businesses and organizations, this means the rules have to be rewritten. Often, a business that continues clinging to procedures that are outgone will itself be outgone and fail. Adaptive leaders are prepared to rewrite the rules, the rule book, on a continuous basis. But a little earlier, I told you that doesn't mean we operate without rules. We continue with the rules which we are not good for the time being until we all agree what new rules to apply. And number 3 advantage of adaptive leadership is a personal approach that fosters loyalty. Have you heard in all this discussion about empathy? What happens? Everybody gets committed to the vision. Everybody feels appreciated. So there is loyalty to the cause. And once you have loyalty, there is hope for reaching your vision. Adaptive leaders are committed to the employees. And because they are committed to the employees, they help the employees to be committed to the work and therefore to work together with them. They know how to approach the employees with empathy. They know how to understand the employees where they are, which in turn creates positive workforce among the people. In that way, a very motivated group of people are likely to go faster to the vision. And hierarchical systems create groups. Adaptive systems help everybody to work together. That's why I talked about David earlier. Being so secure in God, he is willing to run away from Jerusalem. The only thing I have to admit is that if you choose this new adaptive system, there are challenges in it. And the first one is a tricky balance between decision making that is both swift and mindful. If you have to do it the way I've been saying, sometimes you might change direction too early to your own detriment. When constantly adapting to change, and you can start changing the course too quickly. So you have not even fully exploited the earlier system, and yet you are now putting a new system. Pulling the plug from under a project. And sometimes it creates discouragement of the people who are involved in the earlier one. People don't like change continuously. So you can get some kind of resistance and resentment among the people that are involved. Sometimes need to have timelines associated. In other words, let people know we need to be scanning the environment, but give us the idea. Don't change before we have all agreed on the change. Number 2, we have talked about involving everyone, but some informations are confidential. As an adaptive leader, you must understand there are still certain decisions that need to be made at the top management. Don't give the impression that the messenger will sit in top management. So you need the ability to share, understand what you can share and what you cannot share. And that will be very, very important. And of course, the last one is that the new set adaptive leadership is not as old as hierarchical leadership. So people critics are still pointing out, this is new. This is a fad. We have not stayed with it long enough. Is it really going to work? I think that will be a very important thing. So what have we been saying? Adaptive leadership is something that has come. The world looks like it was more stable in the past. Today, things are changing continuously. Who can tell that when the mobile came just in the 1990s, we thought, what a new system. Now, within no time, the mobile that used to be only with managers is now with Mama Boga. That's a changing. And that allowed during the COVID time for the churches to send spiritual messages to very poor people. Because now the phone, there is a phone for just over 1,000 shillings. And you can send an SMS there. So the changes are constant. So although we can see there are challenges to the adaptive leadership, we can only try to manage the changes. We can't say no to adaptive leadership. It will be important that we understand this. But I think the thing I also want to emphasize is you are not a manager, you are a leader. If you are a leader, the followers must get involved. And if they must get involved, what better system than adaptive leadership system? Thank you very much. The meeting is back to Nathan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you a lot, Brother John Young. Wow, that was insightful. Hey, I almost forgot that for a moment that I am a moderator. I was so absorbed into the topic, so thank you. And we thank God for you and you sharing such kind of wisdom to us, the younger generation. So I hope, so there are questions which were raised earlier, so we keep addressing them. And as we also ask ourselves quite a number of questions that are following and follow-up. So just to mention some of the two questions that were mentioned and pointed out in the chat, even as we proceed, so that our speakers and all of us do not. So there was a question that was asked: how do you deal with those that may misunderstand your vision or those that oppose for no reason? This is one. And then we'll have them projected towards as we head into the section of questions. Then the second one was: is there something like bad change? If yes, how do you distinguish between good and destructive change for adaptive leadership? Those are the two questions that I have from the chat. So we'll be tackling them in a few or in some moments to come. So we'll be moving on to now the questions, a second round of questions, and even as we approach probably the last or the closing sessions of today's session. So I would like to ask if the next question to be projected to us, which is, kindly remember that if you feel that the first question that we had, which the transformation of vision into a team vision was not tackled enough, kindly just raise up your hand and then you can specifically point out what you would like addressed. So I'll push a second question to us, which is actually in terms of the leadership. So why is it important to understand personal strength as a leader? So if you can have that question projected. So why is it important to understand personal strength as a leader? So I welcome all of us to participate. I welcome hands and leaders, delegates, to be able to comment on this. So why is it important to understand personal strength as a leader? And I'm actually tempted to combine this with how will understanding the context help us in navigating our leadership? So, so the two that I've posed to us is why is it important to understand personal strength as a leader, and how will understanding the context help us in navigating our leadership? So kindly, if I receive responses before we get nuggets of wisdom from our speakers for the day, and really learning a lot. Thank you. I hope I hope. And also at this point, would like to, the point I would had requested for views to come across, probably. So if you can